Hello everyone. In today's session, we will be discussing about EC2 instances and the launch templates. So last time we discussed about launching instances from the EC2 console, and we used a manual method. We went to the launch instance here and clicked on launch instances, and then specified all these parameters one by one. For a quick review, we specified name, then the image to use, which was Amazon Linux last time, then the architecture, what is the instance type, right? Key pair login, we specified the network settings and the storage configuration, plus the advanced details. We just looked at all these parameters, and once we configured all this, we clicked on launch instance. Now if you look at it, this is more of a manual task where you have to launch a lot of instances. Say even if you have to launch 10 instances, you have to again go and do this manually, and it's kind of a repeated work, right? So one of the options for us to save time in this is to create a launch template. So what exactly is a launch template? Launch template is I've created a small overview of it, and then we will look at the practical as well. So what is a launch template? It is used to specify the launch configuration to launch an instance. So in simple terms, so whatever we have done manually for the instance, we will create a template where we will specify all the configuration that the instance needs to have, and the instance will be launched. And we just need to specify the launch template while starting, and the instance will be launched from that launch template. All the configuration will automatically be present, and we will have an instance running without a manual effort. So you can use launch templates to store launch parameters so that you do not have to specify them every time you launch the instance. So like I said, we create a launch template once, and then you can launch any number of instances from the launch template. Now for each launch template, you can create one or more number versions of the launch template. Each versions can have different launch parameters. So even within launch template, you can create multiple versions of the launch template. Say for few instances you just want basic configuration. Now so you can have one launch template for that. Then you can create another launch template. Say like for next few instances you want some security groups to be attached, so you can create another version, say version 2, saying that okay, if when I will launch version 2, all the instances that are launched with this version 2 will have security groups attached. Then you can create another third version saying that hey, for these in this launch template we want some user data, I want some database servers to be installed, I want some packages to be installed. So I can specify all those user data in my launch template. So we will also look at how we can use the user data to pre-install some of the softwares, and when we launch an instance, then we have to do a lot of work, right? We have to install, say, database or the web server. If we specify all these things in our launch template, all the things the instance that will boot will already have all the things configured. So we don't need to manually go and do the effort again. Okay, so let's just look at it how to do it. Now we are on the EC2 console. I again go on the launch template and I click on create launch template. Now I will create, give a name, I will say web server launch template. Okay, now template version description will say for test purposes, right? Now one of the other thing why launch template is important, because it's very much used with EC2 autoscaling. So whenever we are creating an EC2 autoscaling these days, that time also a launch template is required. We will cover that more when we go for a demo of auto scaling. Yeah, so if you look here also we have auto scaling specified, so we can get add a tag if you want. You can also have a copied from a source template. Next thing is we need to specify an OS image to be used, so like we did on the manual step. Now I will click on quick start and we will take image on Linux. This time we did it, we used the same when we launched the instance manually as well, right? So yeah, we click on the same image on Linux, and the AMI is the free tier eligible one. The architecture is 64-bit x86. We use the similar configuration when we launched the instance manually, right? Now next is instance type. If you want to specify the instance type, I will say okay, I want a micro instance. Key pair login, I have my EC2 key pair X here, I will use that. Next we will go to network setting. Now it's up to you if you want to create a new firewall group, security group, or create a security group. So I will use an existing security group for now. That will be, I will just use a default one for now, but of course with your configuration for a big environment you will have different security groups or subnets, so you will use those according to your configuration. The next is storage volumes. Like we use in the manual, we use the default storage volume, the root volume. Now again here we are using the standard EBS volume with 8 GB of size, which is the GB2, and we can use IO1 or anything that we need, and these are the IOPs that are mentioned. And next is delete on termination. Yes, so what will happen if I don't use delete on termination is when I delete the instance, the volume will still be there and I will have to pay charges for that. So for now I will use delete on termination, so that when I delete the instance, terminate the instance, the volume also get deleted. Next is encrypted. Do you want the data to be encrypted in the volume? If I say yes, it will include, you need to specify a KMIS key, but in production most of the volumes are encrypted. For now I will use no. Now if I want, I can add new volume. Say I want to install my software like database or any other softwares in new volume, I will use a custom volume here. Okay, next is tagging, advanced details. Like same, do you want to use instance profile, host names, and auto recovery? We looked at few of these things when we did a manual configuration, so I won't touch any of these things. I will let it be like that. So next thing is I will specify a user data this time. So I want to install a web server on this machine. So instead of doing all this effort manually later on, I will specify everything in user data now, so that what happens is the instance that is launched should automatically have a web server installed, and it should have a page, starting page. I should browse and see my first paragraph. Okay, so all this is done. Now I will just click on create launch template. Now my launch template is done. Web server launch template. Okay, now I can, from here I can go to instances, and I will again say launch instance from template. Now like I said, we have reduced manual effort. We have just created a launch template one, and we can just go and use our launch template. So our template name was web server LC. Yeah, now when I click on it, I can see the version, what is the version of the template I'm getting, and all the pre-configured information, right, the way I want it, is already available, and this is what we really needed. Okay, now I will just click on launch instance. So that was quick, right? And again I will go here and look here. I will give this a name. I will say web srv2. So now if you look at it, we have the web srv2 that is available for use, and it's still initializing. Now if you look at the IP address, this is the IP address. We installed a web server, right? So am I able to browse the page? Let me open this address and see. Now it seems the instance is still booting up, so we'll just wait for a while. This is the security group. Let's just look at the security group. So I have uploaded HTTP from everywhere, so I have the right configuration. I'll again go to EC2 instances and look at it again. Okay, it still says initializing. But yeah, pretty much other configuration is there. You can look at the security groups and what was the instance launch time. You can also look at the public IP address and the host name, AMI details, everything that we have specified with launch template is there. We have networking, VPC ID. We are using everything in the default VPC for now, and this is the USE1C availability zone. Then we have the storage, like we discussed. We have only one root volume attached, which is not encrypted for now. And then we have the status check. These are still getting initialized. Monitoring, so we haven't used the enhanced monitoring. Okay, and the tags, we have specified the tabs like this from the launch template. Yeah. So let's try connecting to the instance now. Let's try using the SSH. I'm able to log in. So like I mentioned, how do we log in? Last time we logged in through the console, but to actually log in you have to use the key pair that you have created and go to the directory. So I've created an AWS directory in my laptop on my Mac, and from there I use the SSH command to log in. Now if we log in here, now I can see that my HTTPD, my web server is running. Yeah, and I created a directory, right? Let's go and see if those directories are there. I created where www.html. So I have my index.html as well, and you can see it's just created now when the instance was launched. So now the instance is up, and since the instance is up, now I can also browse my page. If you look at it, I just did it and I'm able to browse my instance. So when I click here, actually it gives this HTTPS and my instance is not HTTPS, so it will time out. So I'll just remove this and do this, and if you look at it, my web server is up and running, so I don't need to do anything. I saved all that time. I use the user data and the web server is up and running based on that configuration. Yeah, so yeah, now I can also stop this web server. now when you specify something there, you can actually look at the cloud and its scripts to see what happened when you booted your when the so what if whatever I have specified doesn't work? Okay, how do I troubleshoot? I can look at this cloud and its script to see if there is some error and all, but I don't see anything here that says but I don't have any error, and so things have gone fine. But what if whatever I have specified, like the creation of the directory, installation of the web server, it wouldn't have worked? How do I check for errors? So I can actually look at this cloud and its script in the my var log directory to specify to find out the errors. Okay, so this is one of the ways of checking why something is failed, and otherwise it will be difficult for us to find out, right, why is it not working and all. If I look at it in the var log directory, okay, I have okay, so I can't access that. I have the messages folder as well. Okay, sorry, I was logged in through this. I got logged in. So the log. Okay, I'm just trying to look at these scripts once. So if you look at it, when we also updated the jump script, right, we mentioned that when the instance should start up, it should do an update of the yum update y. So we also mentioned that all the packages should be updated. So if you look at here, all the packages were updated when the instance was started as per our configuration. So we have all this output here. Then we mentioned we wanted HTTP to be installed, and if you look at the HTTP package is also installed here. Yeah, so you see guys, it took 49.42 seconds. So in this way we can actually automate a lot of this configuration. Like I have seen this thing extensively being used in the production environment. I've been working for on AWS some couple of years now, and I see these user data and things being widely used in production because they are kind of a time saver. They save time. Okay, so now we have a launch template. We discussed this is the launch template. Now what if I want to modify it? Now I will do a modify template. Okay, so what if let's modify something in this. For the next instance, we want to modify the instance type. We will use the other instance, that is T2 micro with a higher memory. And the rest of the things let's create same for now. Yeah, go to advanced details and I will say my second paragraph, and I will say, so I just modified two things. I have modified the instance version there, and then I have modified the template version as well. Sorry, the modified the instance type. I will click create template version. I will go back to use templates. So now I have two versions of it. There is one launch template and I have two versions. Latest version is 2. If I go to instances, I will click again launch instance from template, and I will specify my launch template. Version is 2. I will then use the latest version. So what will happen in this case? I can see I am getting the higher version of my instance with 1 GB memory, and go down, I will be getting the user data as my second paragraph. Now I can again launch an instance for the demo. Yes, so see, I just need to modify a couple of things, and I don't need to relaunch it. It's just that we go there and specify there So this is a really good feature, guys. It really helps. I've seen this extensively used in production. Now I will do a refresh here again. Okay, it's also running now. Let's just look at it. Now this is the instance. I will click on connect, and then we'll use the key pair to get connected to this one. Now this is my second instance that I was talking about. Now I can go to the same directory where I have my key specified, and I am able to. So whenever you will log in with an Amazon Linux machine, you will log in through EC2 user. You won't log in through the root due to the security permissions, right? So now I have this. I will see systemctl. Now my HTTPD is running, okay, and but my instance is still initializing. I can look at my directory that has got created. I created var www.html. So you see, this time I have in my second paragraph. So once the instance is fully initialized, let me see if it is working right now. So this is my web server 3. If I go and click on open address, yeah, it works. See, I clicked on my second, I clicked on the instance again here, and I will remove the HTTPS. I'll just do this and see, now I'm getting my second paragraph. When I go to the other instance, I get my first paragraph because this is the first one, and when I go to the next IP, get my second paragraph. So in this way we have seen how to use the launch templates, and we saw that how it is saving time and how we can actually create multiple versions of the launch template to help us speed up the instance launch. Now you can launch multiple servers at the same time as well. I mean, if you click here, I will say launch instance from the template. Now if I have to launch two instances, I can just go here and specify that I want 2 instances. Okay, and if I want 3 instances or 5 instances, I can say that I want 5 instances, or say like 3 instances. So it's up to our requirements, but we can, instead of launching 1 instance at a time, and if we want same instances with multiple instances with the same configuration, we can use you can specify the instances here, or we can also use the auto scaling groups where the auto groups will auto scale with the same configuration, which is pretty interesting actually. So we will look at that as well. Okay, another thing is just a little bit about EC2 instance types. So if you look here, there are a lot of EC2 instances based on your requirement. You have general purpose instances which are T2, T3 and all. So I would recommend that you go and look at it, what are compute optimized, which are heavily used for compute bound application. And so it is good to know all these instances about the instance types, because when you launch an instance, sometimes you have to take those decisions, right? What instance you will take when it's a database, or what instance you want to take when it's a IO intensive system. So you can go through the AWS documentation. AWS documentation is really good. When I started learning cloud, AWS and all, I started with the AWS documentation, and I pretty much use it now as well, because they keep changing few things and adding things and all. So if you look at it, we have these instances as some burstable instances. So burstable instances are those instances that they actually kind of gains CPU credit. So where your instance is idle, it will get some credits per hour, like 6 credit for per hour or something like that. I will look at it, see. So what will happen is they will get some CPU credits per hour, and what will happen is when your instance wants to boost, right, it wants to go high, it wants to use, so like this one will use 3 credits per hour. Okay, so like if the instance is running for 6 hours, it will have 18 hours of credits, and when your instance needs more CPU, it wants to burst, right, it can only burst up to that available credit limit, available burst hours, and once that limit is used, it won't be able to burst, it won't be able to use the higher CPU. So this is good when you have a workload that is not bursting a lot, right? You have your development environment, small environments where you don't really need this kind of burstable limits. But if you have production and all, then you need to look for instances where you don't have this burstable limitations and all, or you can make it unlimited as well. Yeah. So this is pretty much about how the instances are used. So alright, stay tuned to it, and we'll have some more videos, and do subscribe to my channel. Thank you.